We keep it simple with precision. You see, when it comes to trading, your mind is the most important thing you need to develop. No matter the trading strategy that you have, the strategy is only as good as your mind is. That's why you hear traders say stuff like trading is, maybe 20% technical and then 80% psychological, because the real work actually goes up in here, right? The simplest thing to do when it comes to trading is actually identifying maybe, a technical analysis strategy or even a fundamental analysis strategy, right? But the real work comes into play when you actually have a strategy and you're trading in the markets and maybe you're in a bit of drawdown or you're taking losses and stuff like that. That is where the bulk of the work actually lies. The question is, what do you actually do when you're stuck in that type of situation? What do you do when you are going through a losing streak? What do you do when it seems like your strategy isn't working? What do you do when you're in drawdown or even in a bit of profit, right? The question is, what do you do? So in this video, we're going to be talking about developing a profitable mindset when it comes to trading. You see, I like to say that candles equate to emotions, right? Because, for example, when you're in a trade and maybe you're in a bit of drawdown, as you see the candles print, maybe it's a red candle that is going head into your SL. As you see the candles print, your heart begins to either palpitate or you start to have a bit of anxiety and you start to, think of so many things and stuff like that. So, and even when you're in profit, like as you see the blue candles or green candles print, heading into more and more profits, your emotions come into play and you're like, oh my God, look at this money. Let me just take it. Let me just take it. What do you do in that moment? That's the question. That is where the bulk of the trading work actually lies. Emotions that are not kept at bay actually lead to terrible trading habits, right? For example, when you feel anxious or when you feel like you're going to miss out on an important move in the markets, you start to have FOMO and then you just hop into a trade and that trade has nothing to do with your strategy. Maybe you open up your Instagram or any other platform and then you see a trader is in profit on a particular trade and then you're like, let me just make some money and let me just hop into this trade so I can make some money as well with this trader. And you have not done any work when it comes to your technical analysis. You have not even opened up the pair on your trading view, right? But because of the emotions of, fear of missing out on an important opportunity, you just hop in. The trade goes against you, you start to, question yourself and you start to think of so many things and you say bad words to yourself. And then tomorrow you do the exact same thing again. You see, that's where the bulk of the work lies as a trader. Let me tell you a quick story. In 2022, I went through a terrible phase in my trading journey. And in that phase, I had such terrible trading habits. And one of them is this. At that time, I was in a lot of trading groups, okay? Right now, I am in maybe one or two. But at that time, every morning, my trading routine would include hopping on a bunch of YouTube live streams. I would actually have one live stream going on my phone and then another one on my laptop. And then I'm like, hopping into trades, just like hunting for this money, right? Hunting for the Forex money. And in addition to that, and of course, at the end of each of the live streams, I will walk away with no money, just so you know. In fact, I will walk away with a bunch of losses. But I continue to just do that, right? And in addition to that, another thing that I did, right, in 2022 was, like I said, I was in a bunch of trading groups. And whenever a person or a trader I would look up to would be in a trade or call out a trade, like send a signal and stuff like that, I would maybe go to my charts just to look at what the move could potentially be, right? But instead of me, analyzing it and going with my own analysis, I would be like, you know what, this trader said is going to buy, so I'm just going to leave my analysis aside and just hop into the trade. And guess what? It's going to be my analysis that will play out and then the trader will take a loss. right? But I continued to just do that because I had no confidence in my trading strategy. I had no confidence in myself as a trader. I had terrible FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I had anxiety listed. I had all of the terrible trading habits, terrible trading emotions. I had I had everything, right? Um, but I had to take a step back so I could heal from all of my terrible mistakes and then move forward. Now, I'm sure a lot of us traders have gone through that a couple of times, right? And that's okay. To be honest, let me be the first one to tell you that it's okay to go through the losing or the quote unquote bad phases when it comes to trading. It's okay because how else are you going to learn, right? If you get a bunch of courses, it's okay to get courses or, watch YouTube videos to learn, right? But the real learning actually comes in experience, to be honest. Like, you cannot buy experience. You can buy courses, buy strategies, but you cannot purchase experience. Experiencing those bad trading habits and watching what they actually do to yourself in your trading psychology and also in your P&L, right? Would actually equate to you choosing to have better trading habits. That's the honest truth, right? Because, for example, the trader I am today, would look back at my 2022 version of me and be like, you know what? I went through all of that. I lost a lot of money, but that's okay. Because I have learned and I have become a better trader today. Because there are certain things that I do when it comes to my trading that I don't even second guess, right? When it comes to my technical analysis, I do not second guess myself. I don't care if I say this pair is going to sell and you tell me it's going to buy. That's okay. I'm going to still go and sell the pair on my MT4 and 5, okay? Because I trust myself now. So the question is, how exactly do we build a profitable trading mindset? So there are multiple ways to actually build a profitable trading mindset. You can read a bunch of books, right? You can read a bunch of trading books, like Trading in the Zone is a good one for beginners. But to be honest with you, it's good to read books, right? But what's important is the implementation of what you have read and what you have learned. Okay? If you're watching YouTube videos about trading psychology, that's also okay. But what is important is actually implementing what you have learned and what you have read. Everywhere you go, they're going to tell you, most traders would actually advise you to maybe listen to a podcast, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, read a bunch of books. That's okay. But the one that was most effective for me, okay, the one that actually led me to come out of those terrible trading habits, terrible trading mindsets, anxiety, FOMO, so much fear, and all of that is journaling. Till today, I journal, right? I'm in my 5th year of this beautiful skill set. And till today, I still journal my trades. When I execute a trade, I go into my journal and I explain why I have pressed buy or sell. I go into my journal, I put in the mindset behind it. Am I calm? Am I anxious? Do I just not want to miss out on the move, right? How am I feeling? Then when the trade actually plays out, I put it into my journal as well. I put the technical, the risk management, and the psychology. Okay. Now, when you're journaling, it's good to journal your technical analysis, right? So that's going to give you the journaling of your technical analysis is going to give you data when it comes to your actual trading strategy. You also have to journal your mindset so it can give you data on your behavior as a trader. If you get a trading psychologist, right, or if you even get a mentor, the work they're going to put into you is not going to be as valuable as the work that you put into yourself as a trader. So meaning with every single trading day that goes by, take advantage of every single day and every single trade. So of course, when it comes to your technical analysis, you have to collect data regarding how the market moves, but also collect data on how your mind actually works. Like when you see a trade, how do you feel about the trade? How do you feel about the markets? So that way you're able to identify different patterns that are not working for you when it comes to your trading. So for example, right? So you know how I told you that in 2022, I was struggling when it comes to my trading psychology? I started writing in this book in 2022. At this point, the book is pretty much almost done, right? Because I have filled the pages with a bunch of, trading related stuff. That's just to show you how dedicated I am to my skill set. I actually have another trading journal right now. Personally, I like to use books, like physical writing, just because it's just closer compared to, like, devices. But that's okay. Like, use whatever works best for you. Now, I said I'm going to give you an example, right? So, in this book, at the end of each trading day, I would basically write down every trade that I take, and then I would put down bullet points of my psychology, like what was I feeling. Let me read one example for you. So this was in 2023, January 10th. It was a Monday. I took a buy off of US 30. US 30 was in an uptrend. It says here, buys taken at an intraday 1 hour level off of a support zone. Entry after multiple rejections on M5, so 5-minute time frame. This entry looked more like a higher high on the 4-hour time frame, which wasn't good, right? Good entry, good RR, but SL hit due to higher time frame position zone, right? So after I do this, and this was just one day, and then I would do it for every single day. I just write it down. I also did the same thing with my trading psychology. During the weekend, I would basically review what I have written so that I can perform better in the next week, right? And this honestly, reading this gives me a bit of nostalgia because I haven't done this in a while, but I am grateful that I actually did this, right? This is where the bulk of the trading work actually lies. Like, are you able to truthfully evaluate yourself as a trader? That is how you build a profitable trading mindset. Because you can watch all the YouTube videos about trading psychology, read all the books, and listen to all the podcasts, but nothing will change. The question is, are you able to sit down and evaluate yourself truthfully as a trader? That's the question. In addition to the journaling I would do on a daily basis, every weekend I would sit down and review everything I had written, right? In terms of the technical aspects, risk management, and psychology. In terms of the psychology aspect of things, if there are any particular terrible trading habits that I noted during the week, I would write them down in a plain paper that is not my journal. In a plain paper like this, I'll write it down so that in my next week, I know that these are the emotions that I'm dealing with that I need to adjust, right? I don't want to show you what I wrote, but let me read this one to you guys. So you will know that, you see, I have come a long way when it comes to this skill set. This was in November 2023. I wrote a bunch of stuff here just to, remind myself of what I'm doing as a trader. So let me read this to you. The first one says, keep it simple, never overcomplicate. It is impossible to avoid losses, so have good losses instead of bad losses, right? Losses are a part of the game. If I do everything correctly, then I need to understand that the market is random sometimes. Good losses are business expenses. There is no holy grail. So there's a bunch of stuff I wrote at the time. I guess I was dealing with taking losses, right? I was probably having a hard time handling losses. That's why I wrote all of this down. But after I write this down, then in the next day or in the next week, I'm reading it before I open up my trading view. Okay, this way I am prepared. My mind is prepared for the markets, because the trading strategy is basically the same thing over and over again, but the mind is not the same thing because there are so many external factors that may actually impact how you think, right? For example, the things you listen to, the things you see on social media, the things you watch have a huge impact on how you perceive yourself as a trader and stuff like that. So essentially, what I'm actually saying is this. You build a profitable mindset by, of course, educate yourself in terms of trading psychology, right? By reading books, watching maybe videos of people that you look up to, talking about trading psychology, maybe listen to a bunch of podcasts. But the work actually lies in your self-evaluation, aka journaling, right? So you always have to journal. Like that is something that the information about yourself you learn from journaling is something that cannot be bought or taught. You build a profitable trading mindset, of course, by journaling your trades, evaluating yourself honestly, and learning from your mistakes. You always have to have the discipline to move forward as a trader. So when you have journaled maybe your bad habits or things you need to improve on, you remind yourself of those things and implement every single thing that you need to improve on. So I hope this video was helpful. I'll see you guys in my next video.